So recently, I decided to watch an episode or two of this one anime called Sakigake Otoko Juku, right? So this manga, I watched the anime, but the manga originally ran in Shonen Jump starting in 1985, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think it's really fucking interesting to see how things just kind of change over time because oh yeah, I'm a little bit drunk at the time of recording this, but things have just changed so much over time. There's so many different fads, so many different styles that have come and gone throughout the ages, and I just am really fascinated with how some things were back then and how things differ now. And I think this anime was the perfect example of your classic, like mid to late 80s, early 90s Shonen Jump manga. It perfectly reflected that. So basically, this anime is about this one punk kid who kind of looks like a cross between Kenshiro and Jotaro called Momotaro. And Momotaro's story is he was at this highly prestigious high school, but then he dropped out and he decided that he wanted to go to this other high school that's supposed to be for high school dropouts where they learn to become men. And it was just so full of manly bullshit, big muscular characters that are muscular for no fucking reason. And it was so silly and so funny how everything just played out. My roommate that was watching it with me said at the end of our little watching period that was like some of the gayest shit that he's ever seen. And it wasn't without, some kind of reason. There was a little bit of justification behind it, but still, I enjoyed it so much because of just how fucking silly it was. I was laughing almost the entire time, like from like the very beginning, but the opening all the way to the last bit. It was just so silly. And keep in mind, like this is around the time when you got like your Dragon Ball, your fucking Fist of the North Star, maybe a little bit of Yu Yu Hakusho thrown in there as well, that whole era of manga, right? Where even the beginning of JoJo's was happening around then too. You got your big muscular men just being fucking manly, or you got your punk kids in high school that are rebelling and they become the hero kind of thing. And this so perfectly encapsulated all of that. I just fucking loved it because Momotaro is this guy, right? That just totally encapsulates the fucking punk, you know, fucking kid with the crazy hidden ability because he's got his sword on him. He's just a badass motherfucker. Man, a few words. Like, I'm pretty sure the majority of his lines in in the first episode at least, were pretty much the same line. They're comprised of, so this is Otoko Juku High, or whatever. This is how interesting. Here I'll be able to further refine my manhood. I'll be able to work on that. It was just, that was how it was in that time. That was the era, man. And I got to thinking, right? If this is just a period piece, that's how I'm viewing it right now in 2016, back when this shit came out. I think the anime came out like late 90s as well, or possibly late 80s, early 90s. If that's a period piece of how things were then, and I just view it as silly, then what else? What else has swords and is just really silly to most people right now? But some people seem to enjoy it. It's something that's very prevalent in current anime culture and all that shit. That's Sword Art Online right there. Now let me draw all this together, connect all this stuff. Sword Art Online, it may be some kind of like catalyst into starting this whole trend, but a lot of the light novel adaptation and stuff that comes out nowadays, stuff that's really popular nowadays, falls under the category of, well, you got this otaku, right? And then he goes into some different world, and then he can do shit in this new world, but he's still like an otaku and all that stuff when he gets a few bitches and all that stuff. Like, it happens a lot nowadays. Like, that was ReZero in a nutshell, almost. There's a bunch of other stuff like that. What comes to mind? Oh god, I can't think of it. I know Digibro had a whole fucking video series on one of them that I have in mind that it was just like utter garbage. And what I'm thinking right now is the Sword Art Online is also a period piece in the same way that Otoku Shaki blah 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 or whatever. The one that I'm talking about, the one with Momotaro, Otoku, Juku or whatever. In the same vein that that's a period piece, Sword Art Online is as well, because it reflects what's popular at that point in time, what people are trying to emulate. Because like I said, Momotaro, the main character, could pretty much just be summed up as kind of like a Kenshiro / Jotaro-like character, but with a sword. And that drew people in. The same way that an otaku main character in a completely different world with a bunch of fantasy elements and waifus up the asshole appeals to a lot of people nowadays and draws a lot of attention. So, what I thought was, if I thought that this shit about Momotaro was as silly as it was 20, 30 years later, or whatever it really is, fucking math, who knows that shit. What will people think 20 years from now if they decide, hey, there was this thing back in the day called Sword Art Online. It got a lot of attention. You guys want to check that shit out? It may be kind of silly. And then people will laugh at it. People will think, wow, people back then honestly thought that this was good. Of course, there's people nowadays, including myself, that really dislike Sword Art Online. But I just think it's really funny that no matter how much like debate surrounds these kind of series, Sword Art Online, ReZero included, that whole thing, at the end of the day, it just serves as a period piece for the mid-2010s and what drew people in, what got people's attentions. And it's just going to be seen as silly. And keeping that in the back of my head actually makes me pretty fucking happy that there is going to be a time where people will look back at this, look back at SAO, look back at ReZero, look back at fucking whatever things emulate that whole format, and they just think, wow, people were fucking dumb back then.